to another episode of Throttle Stop Garage. Today's episode, we're actually going to get that front cross member put in the frame. I know it's been a long haul, people, but longer for me than for you. Maybe you're binge watching. I don't know. At any rate, we've stumbled across our first little problem. There's always going to be a little problem, which is the location of these front points here that reference the frame. They, of course, are currently fouling where the front suspension needs to go. I mean, isn't that just, I just randomly put them there and they're right in the way. Geez, that means we'll get progress on the project. Like after this goes in, it's mapping out where the holes go to weld in the spot welds, doing a few little trim and fit pieces on the rails, and getting the engine and transmission mocked up. After the engine and transmission get mocked up, everything gets pulled apart, by the way, and then everything will get finalized and then welded in for the last time. So, not until. I'm going to try not to rush through that. We still need to paint inside of all of this to rust-proof it properly, and I want to do that after nuts that are locating cross members and other pieces for the transmission part are in place. So, okay, with that, let's just get going.
Of course, the uprights that I have in there to register my frame are exactly where parts of my suspension have to go. So out came the Sawzall, and they came off rather quickly, so that little job done. Okay, now it's time to get the upper control arm brackets just simply put in place, and just a rough measurement here, nothing serious at this point, and I'm starting to map out how much of that lower control arm bracket now needs to be trimmed. So the frame is going to come up and down several times here as we get everything fitted up. Keep looking for a good way to cut those things out. It was hard to do. The bracket, actually, that upright tube part fell right in the curve, so very difficult to get an effective way of cutting that out without doing it about 50 million times, which is what I had to do. Here I just noticed that the frame actually just a little bit out at the top, so I was just putting that clamp on there to pull it back into perfect. I just wondered why I had so much space. I was hoping I didn't have to fill anything with the TIG, but I don't. It's all in nice and tight, just the way I wanted it, so that all worked out.
We'll just pull up the chair to make sure we're in frame today. Had problems with the cameras on the weekend. I guess the batteries are not liking the cold weather. I come out in the shop and they're just stone cold dead, quite literally. So sorry about that. We missed. What did you miss? Well, you missed me fitting this up, fitting the cross member in. Oh darn! I spent an entire day doing that. Oh, it's hard to imagine that it could take that long, but it literally took that long. It must have been on and off that hook. And I'm hoping I got a little bit of footage on the other camera, but I have no idea if I did. It must have been on and off that hook no less than 30 times, maybe 40. I just had to do it one more time just to give it a last trim. I'm looking for a 64th of an inch now. Forward and backward, I figure that's now hit insanity. So we're going to stop there. We're going to call this as good as I can get it. So we're nice and square in here, and it's now time to tack it all up. The only problem that I still have is with that forward arm being a little bit ugly looking. So we're going to tack 3 in, and then I'm going to see if I can kind of pull him back just a little bit when I weld it up. Pretty sure I can get that. It's just a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I can get that little bit out of it without too much trouble. So anyway, gosh, it's close to a wrap, folks. So the last piece that has to go on are the upper control arm brackets. I don't know if I'm going to get those tacked in tonight. You won't know any different because I'll do it tomorrow night. I don't care. I'm tired after the weekend, so we'll get done what we can do tonight. I think on these projects, remember, philosophically, even if you just come out for an hour every night, at the end of a week there's 5 hours. Sometimes it takes me 5 hours to figure out what I'm doing on a Saturday. So that's how I'm going to try to keep progress moving forward is just, I'm trying to be super consistent on being out here, super consistent on, you know, getting out to the garage, even if I don't want to be out here, and some days I don't. We all have lives, we all have other things to do. So at any rate, that's enough of the motivational stuff. Try to give it a go at least every day. And at the end of a month, boy, you know, you've put in half a week worth of work. And I try to spend my weekends figuring out like the little wins. Like yesterday I didn't pack this up. Why? It was 5:30, I was spooked, been at it all day. And I thought, well, no good can come of trying to tack it up now. And I moved it so far forward on the fitting that to be able to sit down today for an hour or so, get the last little bit of fitting done, and then just get it tacked in, pure win, because then this sucker's done. And getting it in and out of the car is no mean feat at this point, so it's starting to get heavy and it's starting to get clumsy. At any rate, I could talk to you all night, but that's just work avoidance, so let's not do any more of that. Let's get her done.
I think I need to keep track of how many times I dip my TIG when I'm just tacking this stuff up. I got 2 tacks in before I dipped it there. So clean the TIG or clean the tungsten up and then get it all done in. Doesn't take long if you don't make mistakes.
Alright, we're all done the tacking. I just thought I'd take you for a final tour. I struggled a little bit with this part of the, so that'd be the passenger side, lower control arm bracket, the upper. It bent a little bit out when I was welding it all up, and there's simply no way to get it a whole lot straighter now. So I just want to show you what I've done. So we've got our original rod here just to check that things are all straight. Here on the driver's side. Yeah, that goes all the way through, nice. I mean, none of this is perfect, but it's not bad. The way I had this tacked in previously, it would not go. I mean, it would go, but not like that. That's the way I want it. So that's, yeah, plus or minus, it doesn't matter. So all I've done here is just put the big bar clamp on it, added a 1, 2, 3 block over here just to space me out so I can work the handle, and then just put a little of the fear of God in it and give it a few tons of torque. You can't take it down too far though, because if I take it down too far, it effectively moves this, right? The only reason I'm pointing all this out, other than thoroughness, is as we get going, you're getting the idea that moving some of these cross member pieces around, not exactly the hardest thing that's ever been done. So with a little bit of force, it'll move. So we're going to have to work on some gussets, right, in a variety of tactical locations. You know, perhaps something under here. It sort of depends on where steering ends up. So when the steering bracket goes in and other things lay out, and then we'll do the rest of the planning for how to stiffen. Like, there's lots of room in here, so if I need to little cross bars or something, I'd love to get it out to the corners if I could. And let's face it, we're going to just do the best we can with this particular design. We already know, like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to trim. I'm going to have to trim up the oil pan just to get it to sit, because it's sitting over here right now. So anyways, we know we have some struggles ahead. But in the meantime, before I hang it up and go in for dinner tonight, I'm going to see about tacking on these upper control arm parts. So that shouldn't really be, I'm not even going to say it, I'm just going to stop it right there.
Okay, now we're getting ready just to put the top upper control arm mounts in. Just getting them prepped up a little bit. I thought I would use that aluminum extrusion again, which I corrected myself, so that's good. You'll see that coming up. I wasn't going to make that mistake again. I always have to remember it's not real straight, it's not really square, it just kind of looks that way. So everything's in. I fit those bars in the bottom for no particular reason. I'm fussing around with a few measurements here. And out come the big triangles. That's why I built them. Boy, they made this job a whole lot easier than it was going to be. So I just referenced off that the first bolt hole there. You can see me just putting a bolt in it to get a nice measure off of it there. Did the same on both sides. Clamped it down, tacked it in place. I was super happy with the fit of those upper control arm brackets. They went in really nicely for me, so happy with that. And now that we've got both of those sides just about tacked in, just use the square to get everything registered up. That's going to be it. So thanks again. We'll come back on the next episode and we'll do some steering work.